Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm excited.
So am
How
I.
are
And
you?
thank you for being here with us.
Your hair looks great.
Oh, thank you. I had a little mishap. It was falling on one side and I had to, but someone told me, go ahead, just poof it. And
Good. Poofing works.
the poofing works. I just want to say it's a privilege to have you here. And I'm
Yes.
so excited to be doing this interview with you. And I know a lot of
Oh,
people are as well. We're getting to know Kevin, the
oh,
man
that's
behind
flattering.
the
Thank you.
avatar.
Sure.
All right, let's
You
say good
gonna have,
morning
you
to
gonna have,
some.
I have to be my real person now? Okay.
You have your real person. Yes, yes,
That's fine. I don't have
absolutely.
a problem with that at all.
I'm going to start saying good morning to some people that are in the chat. And we
Go
have
right ahead.
Terry. Good morning, Terry. Thank you, honey, for being here. And then we have Nikki. Nikki will be back watching later. Good morning, my sweet little sister, Nikki. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you. And we got Darlene. Good morning, Darlene. I hope you're feeling well today. I'm not sure if you're home yet, honey. Let me know if you're home yet.
What happened with Darlene?
Darlene had surgery. She had brain surgery on
Oh,
Wednesday.
what?
Yeah. She's. I know that the surgery went well, so that's a
Good.
promise. And the good thing is that she's been chatting away, and I keep telling her she needs to relax her brain and her eyes so her she doesn't get bad migraines after the surgery. So yeah,
Lord.
we
You'll
have
have to be nice and let Darlene relax well. Don't get
yeah.
excited, lady.
And we got Rhonda here. Good morning, my Rhonda, my beautiful, stunning lady. Mwah, I love you.
Is that shadow woman?
It is. It's the Shadow Woman.
I'm afraid of her.
And we got beautiful Susie Woozy. Good morning, honey. Mwah, good morning coming in. Oh, and we have Black Widow, my Betty Webbs, my Betty Webbs, my Betty Webbs. I love you. Mwah, you're beautiful. Oh my God. Oh my God. She's up this early. Just me, Kathy. Good morning, my Kathy. Mwah, 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 mwah. Love you.
Good morning, Kathy.
Good
And
morning.
Betty Webb. I haven't seen Betty Webb in a day or two. It's been
Since
a while.
1972?
No, in a day or two. It's been a while. I remember her when she was Betty Webb.
You remember what? Yeah, I do too. But now she's Black Widow. And everyone's saying hi to everyone. And good morning, Tim. Say hi to Ma. If she's not in the chat, just say hi to her for me. And we have Lee. Good
How's
morning,
Tim,
Lee.
how's Tim doing now too? I've been a little bit scarce lately, so I've lost track of some people that were going through some things that you don't wish upon anybody.
Right.
But if Tim is up this early, he probably has his chips ahoy, so he's ready to roll. So watch out.
Tim's doing much better too, thank God.
Good.
Good morning, Stitchit. Mwah, thank you for coming in, honey. Thank you. And we have Amy. She's like, Kevin.
It's messy mess.
I can hear her voice right now. Kevin. And we have Bobby. Good morning, Bobby. My booby. Mwah, 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 mwah. Thank you for coming in, sweetie. And then we have Willow. Good morning, Willow. Mwah, my sweet Willow.
Good morning, Willow. Haven't seen Willow in a bit too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tim. I'm glad to hear it.
And we have Larry. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, sweetie. Good show this morning. And we got Wheels and Deals. Good morning, Wheels.
Wheels and deals.
Are you having your dialysis and you're sitting here watching us? If you are, thank you, sweetie.
Well, that's rather nice.
That is. I'm just going down the list to see if we have Michelle. Oh. Thank you for coming in, sweetheart.
That Cody person is here. Be quiet.
Cody. Let's hide. Hold on. Cody's here. Maggie Doodle, thank you for coming in. Thank you, sweetie. Here's Cody. Hi, Cody. My sweet Cody. I'm only going down the list. Let's see who else. Anyone else here? If I skipped over someone, I am so sorry. Oh, we got Texas Val. Good morning, Texas Val. Mwah. Thank you for coming in.
We got Michelle O and Lee B.
Mm-hmm. Who? I said,
Texas Val. And
uh-huh.
then you got Lee B. Lee B. I remember Lee B from the late nights, right, Lee? Wow,
From late night? Ooh.
yeah, when everybody used to have, the nighttime shows and whatnot. I believe Lee B was one of those folks there as well. Back in the day of when everybody's life changed for a little bit a year ago.
Yeah, that's true. Hi, Tyrannical Ty. Thank you for coming in. Mwah, my man with a voice that sings so unbelievably well. Unbelievably amazing. Who else? Am I really, really up there, or did I catch up?
You did a good job.
I caught up. We caught up.
You caught up.
We caught up. What's
No.
up? Now I'm going to park the car.
Oh, God. Don't forget to put the crack on. Get some
The
Baja soup.
The crack on. You're too funny. Well, guys, all right. Are you guys ready to get into some nitty gritty and juicy material here?
Yes, who are we going to roast?
We're going to roast you.
Oh, shit.
I should have got a score and put it in you. All right. So, Kevin.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to know, where were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I was raised in Brooklyn and Queens, and towards the later teens on Long Island.
Wow, that's cool. And can you tell me, like, your earliest memory, the one memory that comes to mind while you were living there in your younger years?
Oddly enough, it wasn't real life memory. I was 4 years old, and my earliest memory, and I couldn't even tell you one after that for whatever period of time, but was watching a television, watching the New York Mets against the Chicago Cubs, because I think I was Codio like this, attracted to bears. And I thought because they used to have, they don't do it anymore, on their uniform, they used to have like a bear head.
Uh-huh.
And that would be like 1969, yeah. And I remember everybody being excited, so it must have been close to the end of the year when they were doing real well.
Oh, wow.
But that's my earliest memory in everyday life, even though it is kind of everyday life. I wouldn't even know. I would need a while for that one, but yeah, my earliest memory, to answer the question correctly, is watching a baseball game on TV.
Wow. And what kind of feeling do you get when you think of that memory?
Kind of nostalgic. I really am. Probably deep down, I'm an extremely nostalgic person. Oh my God, I'm not going to fib. Like there's a time during every day that I take a minute, not scheduled, but I'll take a minute, and I sit there and I do the math. Like I did it after I spoke to some people yesterday. I was sitting on the couch last night, and I couldn't comprehend that in 1980, when I was 15 years old, if you looked back 40 years, the 1940s seemed like a million years ago. But now you look back 40 years ago and you're like, wow, where'd that 40 years go? So things get smaller and smaller as you get older and older. It really wasn't that big deal when people used to like, I remember back in the 50s, you're like, oh. And now like, I remember, I had somebody say to me a couple of days ago, I remember back in the 80s. Was that the 80s or the 90s? I'm like, that's like last week to me. So the concept of time, you get nostalgic, and everybody should really, and I'm sure everybody does. So, yeah, when you think about that, you do think about things that you should might have done different in life and whatnot, but that's about it.
Absolutely. Now, were you in your school years, your younger years, were you a good student, and did you have a lot of friends?
Was I a good student? Yeah, I was. I got lazy later on. Did I have a lot of friends? Well, basically, I went to Catholic school, so those are kind of friends that were forced upon you. But out of school, where I grew up, not very many people went to Catholic school. So there was people for some reason, even though I grew up dirt poor, um, the perception of a Catholic school kid was, for some reason they were thought as, you know, a little bit. They thought that you thought you were better than them because you went to a better school rather than a public school. But all my friends were from public school because I was basically a street kid anyway. I didn't fit into that Catholic school thing, but you didn't have no choice. Once you were there, you were there.
You were there, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were saying that you had a hard childhood. Could you kind of
Yeah.
embellish on that?
Oh, the whole story?
Well, I mean,
You could say yes. I grew up
yes,
in an
that was
abusive alcoholic household. I grew up on welfare. I grew up with a father who used to beat me unmercifully, a father who put me in a coma twice before I was 10 years old, once on Christmas Eve. A father who used to beat my mother. Thank the Lord he never did anything to my two sisters. I mean, at least, I guess you got tired after that, but I would throw myself basically in front of the bus to keep the interest on me. And that was a wonderful way. I would sit there, grow up, and my mother would wait for my dad to come home. I shouldn't even say dad, but I'm just going to be polite. Would wait for her husband to come home. That's better than being rude. And just to get money to have food.
mhm.
For the better part of my childhood, I got to say probably from 6 to 10, lived in a home with no electricity. So that's how wonderful a well-paid steeplejack would take care of his family. He didn't. And, one good thing that he did teach me is what not to do as an adult. So I had that benefit above other people. I really did. I didn't have to figure anything out. Just do the opposite of what that person did.
Do the opposite, right? And
Yeah,
your
pretty
mom,
much.
can you speak a little bit about your mom?
Well, my mom basically was probably somebody as you learn life and get older, fell into that trap of embarrassment because until my mother was killed when I was 14, we didn't know we had not one. We heard names and it was people we thought from the past, not one relative in our family. And you didn't think about it because you're just like, well, maybe you're in a family that's got nobody. It was because my mother was ashamed and her mother was dominating and wouldn't let her ask for help, look for help, or let anybody know because my grandmother would put on airs of, the old school, not my family, don't embarrass, blah, 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 too proud for this. But my grandmother was very mean to me too. She used to beat me because I looked like my dad. So it was fun. And to yourself, that's like normalcy till you start going into friends' houses and you open up the refrigerator and there's food in there and you see people just take what they want to eat when they want to eat it. When I had a refrigerator, you couldn't plug in. So it was like you thought your perception of what rich was quite jaded back then. Everyone else was just surviving as well. So, but we was a little bit harder than most. But they always, as I got older, in my early to late teens, they always looked back, even though I had a lot of anger for a lot of reasons, and that we'll get into later. I wasn't a baby thrown down a trash chute, so I always looked at it as I was one step above that tragedy. It didn't make it right, but at least it wasn't the worst. There's always somebody, no matter how bad a day you have, and I believe this wholeheartedly, and that's why I get attracted to people that I feel need a friend, actually, I should say. Someone's always got it a lot worse than you, and you get good at spotting it when they're not outwardly showing it. And thank God that certain things that I spotted a lot of it in a lot of people, and in this YouTube world in the last 2 years as well.
Now, tell me, do you have a good relationship with your mom now?
My mother was killed when I was 14. My mother was killed by a drunk driver at 8 o'clock in the morning. To get back to that with her, after we became teenagers, my older sister was 15. I just turned 14. She went and got a job at the local precinct as a crossing guard. And some woman at 8 o'clock in the morning was pissed drunk and hit her. She pushed 3 kids out of the way because this lady was going hog wild down Rockaway Boulevard, which is a main drag in, South Ozone Park, Queens. and she got hit, cracked her skull open, and was in a coma for a month, and then passed away. So there's that.
I'm
And
so
at that
sorry.
point,
So sorry that
oh,
happened
thank you.
to you.
Well, you know what they did? They were very nice. The police, the cops. I mean, there are cops that are good, and there are cops that are bad. There are cops that don't know how to do their job, and there are cops that aren't trained properly. We could have a conversation like that with a lot of people all day long, but they were very good to us because, unfortunately, where I lived, it was known because the police would be called repeatedly on my father when he was in one of his rages, pounding me into the ground. But luckily, a year before my mother was killed and got the job as the crossing guard, me and my father had it out, and we got into a knife fight in the street in front of the house, and he never came back.
Okay, so
And
your dad wasn't in the picture after your mom
no,
passed away.
he really wasn't in it beforehand. It was just a hope that there'd be a few dollars to eat rather than me go, basically, I'll just tell you, beg, borrow, and steal.
Mm-hmm.
And the things and I look at it as I was forced to do some things as a young teenager. And as I got a little bit older, for other reasons of just having it be an exciting thing to do,
Yeah.
we would, I would always give my mother the money, and I would keep $3. And the reason why I kept $3 is I still had that kid in me. I wanted to go play pinball.
Yeah.
And then when I was done, I would try to hustle and see, all right, what can I do? And my neighborhood was littered full of wise guys. So, us kids, us, 12 to 14-year-old kids, we used to do a lot of things that they would just say, get out of here, rather than, arrest an adult. Like,
Yeah. Now,
I got a few fun stories that would go on forever, so I don't want to tell you up that long, but go ahead.
when your mom passed away,
Mhm.
where did you and your siblings live?
Well, that's odd because when the police department paid for her funeral, and at the funeral parlor in the neighborhood, I remember, well, my mother was in a coma. I went and lived with the lady that my mom befriended at a real estate office that she saw it happen. She would looked up and was and looking out her window and saw the whole thing happen. And then there was another lady in the office, took my two sisters for that month, and I went with her, who I just recently found out that she passed away, and I was devastated. I never knew kindness like that from people.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody invites you into their home, and it was odd because you never learned it because you didn't see it or experience it. So it was very strange. So in any event, to make a long story short, all these people started showing up at my mother's funeral that weren't police related that I knew, or weren't chasing me around the streets, which there was a lot of people that offered to take me and take my sisters together as a pair in the neighborhood. It was really, you don't get. I see this. I find out years later because you're not perceiving or having a conception of that. You're 14 years old or 13 years old.
Yeah.
I went and lived with my godparents, who got guilted into taking me because they're my godparents, and that was a miserable experience. But to go back a second, in the funeral part, all these people coming in and they're saying they're sorry and this and that, and this is aunt this is uncle that, this is cousin this, and I'm sitting there. It's not enough to go through the previous month, but to sit there, I lost my shit and was like saying to people, "Where were you? Did you not?" And everybody, my grandmother shielded what was going on in our household.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know damn well if anybody hears that, if it's your next door neighbor, you're knocking the door down, you're dragging a guy out by his ears, and you're taking the kids out if the adult don't want to leave. So, for lack of a better term, I resented the fact that because even though I was like that, there was a kid that was poorer than me in the neighborhood. And when I used to go, we used to acquire merchandise when I'll just leave it at that, at 12, 13, 14 years old. And I would give him money because I know he didn't have it well. I would just give it to him. I wonder whatever happened to him. His name was Terrence Dunn. Any event, so I just had this thing in my brain that, why didn't you help? And then you find out that they didn't know, and they really didn't know. So there's that. So I got dragged out to Long Island. I ended up back in Queens and Brooklyn again once I started to drive and became that you know, I don't know,
Now,
criminal.
would you say that your childhood experiences has shaped you into who the person you are now?
Oh, in a lot of ways, yeah. It makes you feel compassion for people. It makes you feel. I have this thing about me that I need to know if somebody is. I need to know what makes everybody tick. I'll be the person, believe it or not. On YouTube, it's a little bit different when if there's a room that's dead, or you feel like somebody needs a little support, or you feel like there's one or two people in the chat. You goof off and make them laugh, but that's really not me. I sit back and in a room with if we had all these people in the room, I'd be the one not talking. I observe, and I basically what I was told by when I was a teenager. Well, no, I had this was the one that when I was 30 years old, I had the brain to go. It was a customer of mine. Well, we'll get into that later. That used to shop in my electronics store that I worked at, who would always come to me to help, and she was exactly what I turned into. She what was it? What's the word I'm looking for? Was attracted towards me or gravitated to me to
Hmm.
see what's going on, and that's where I realized that I do the same thing. I just need to know what's going on with everybody. I don't sit in a restaurant or go out to eat without looking at the door. I need to see everybody that's in there. But then I was told that goes back to getting attacked from behind, which was always a coward thing my dad did. He never did it to my face. I would always get it from behind, and then was what it was. But I like to, you feel bad. You don't feel bad. You see, there's a weird feeling. Then I don't even think they invented a word for it. You feel like the world's become so big, but yet it's small. I don't know what's happened to people who go out of their way to make other people miserable. It's everywhere. It's never going to be over with, but I choose not to be that person and hope I've never been that person. I'm sure I wasn't perfect in my 20s, believe me. But I just get gravitated towards the person that you think needs to be cheered up or needs help or just needs to bullshit with you or listen.
So
This
it
thing you
sounds
can always do is listen.
so it sounds like you're a helper. You want to be there for
Well,
people.
yeah, I know. I lived, and I raised the boys, and I lived my life in one edict. It's better to be thought of a fool than open up your mouth and to remove all doubt. So we just listen and listen and listen because you're just going to learn, and you can learn from everybody. To this day, I've learned a lot still from this YouTube. I call it the YouTube planet, which I never expected to be a part of at any time. But I was going through some stuff and needed a diversion. There's almost so much gosh darn TV you could possibly watch when you're
True.
laid up.
True.
You needed interaction somehow, and everybody did, even if you weren't in bad health. It was like everybody stay in your house. The aliens are coming. I mean, is that going to be the next thing?
So let
You
me
know what I
bring it
mean?
back to your school years. Let's
Sure.
because we
Oh, but
gotta
yeah, I was a good student. I'm sorry, that was the question. I don't know where it went off there.
so we get a synopsis of basically your childhood. Now we're bringing you into your college years. Did you go to
Mhm.
college?
Yeah, I did. It was odd. I was an extraordinarily good for a period of time in my life athlete. So I went to a state school in New York on a
Hmm.
baseball scholarship.
Oh wow.
Got it taken away because it was a weird sense of freedom because I went from living the life that you were sheltered to my teenage years with my godparents who at the day I turned 18 threw me out because they weren't getting paid no more for me, so why have them around?
Hmm.
And all I did was never broke curfew, did well in school, never showed up drunk, never showed up on drugs, and blah 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 blah. And then still was able to um, do well enough in school to get that. And then I got another scholarship, which was called the district scholarship, which they gave to certain people. And decided to play a pickup game of hockey, blow my knee out, and that was the end of the whole baseball thing. So there's that. Um,
And what did you study in college?
Psychology. I was
Psychology.
all over that. I used to read psychology books rather than read books about anything that would interest the person that was a teenager.
That
I
doesn't
just,
surprise me at
I
all.
inherently wanted to know, maybe, subconsciously, you learn now from reading books and studying it and having a life. You were trying to figure out who you were. I did have an identity crisis in regards to, am I this person that can feel nothing and do something to somebody, which I did? Um, or am I this person that is just very good at just burying everything inside of you? And I was both, which was kind of, as I got older, I realized I was both. I never processed my mother getting killed. I never processed the anger I went through for it because it was my friend's mother who killed her. So, and I knew, now this is when drunk driving, when someone got pulled over in 1980, they throw your keys in the woods, tell you to sleep in your car.
Right.
And nothing ever came of it. But every day, 24 hours a day, growing up, that kid's mother was drunk as a skunk. She said the sunlight blinded her. The only person in the history of that corner where she got hit with the sunlight blinded her. And she walked on it. And what do you know what the adults are doing with legal stuff? What do you know about legal stuff? Other than letting the foot cops chasing around the neighborhood because you're breaking into trailers.
Let me ask you, did you ever forgive this woman?
I Yes and no. And I'm going to tell you why. Yes, because you really can't hold on to that baggage forever. It comes to a point where there's no point in it. They're not thinking about you, but then you realize, yeah, they are. I would inherently believe that that woman was a decent person and had a hard time living with herself. And I don't, because she never said she was sorry, never sought us out, never said a word, didn't go to the funeral, didn't do anything. And the entire family did nothing. And all you wanted was an
Acknowledgement?
apology. And even if it wasn't to us three kids, it should have been done to our family members because she didn't know what the dynamic was. Nothing.
Right.
Not a card years later, no nothing. And even though I'm pretty blunt. I don't forgive my father for what he did, and I don't forgive other people for things they would inherently do purposely to hurt me. And I do have that gene, unfortunately, where I can just feel nothing for you after feeling something for you the day before.
Wow.
Like the day before, I would cry if you died. The next day, I won't. I have, unfortunately, people get crosses to bear as they grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And my cross to bear was I can turn someone off and it would be like they were dead to me. And it really is it's a good trait to have for a lot of reasons, and it's a bad trait to have because it might infringe upon you being even more compassionate than it could be. So, anyways.
So now, because you said her
Yes, it
son,
did shape my life. Go ahead.
You said
Billy.
that her son was a good friend of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Did he continue to stay as a friend?
No, because the day she died, we were ripped out of there, and that was the end of it. I didn't see any friends that I grew up with until I started driving. I mean, we never went back to that house. I was in class in the high school when that lady from the real estate office came. She had to come to that school, John Adams High School, and get me taken out of school. My sister was going to Stella Maris. I was going to John Adams, and my younger sister was going to St. Anthony's. Those two women at that real estate office drove all over 4 corners of Queens to gather us up.
Wow.
And if nobody in here can just learn a little lesson about that, where it's a hardship, where somebody needs a ride to the store, think about what those two women, who were, as far as I'm concerned, were as good as gold, and what other people did that go above and beyond. Maybe you shouldn't complain about giving someone a helping hand here and there. So, yeah, no, never spoke to him, never had anything. There was no cell phones. There was pay phones. I don't even have a beeper yet. I mean, I think the beepers were later on I was too young for a beeper. So, no. But then I reconnected with a lot of friends from growing up there, yeah. But not them. There was going to be no contact.
No,
Plus,
you were just saying before that you were talking quickly about your dad, and you said that you've never forgiven him. So have you ever saw your dad after that to this day?
no, he wanted no part of it. No, my older sister hunted him down, and oddly enough, that might be a whole conversation for another day. My older sister's convinced he had another family. Totally convinced. Because the world of the internet has opened up a lot of cans of worms for people, and she found him, oddly enough, for an alcoholic mess that he was, for him not to be dead to this day is mind-boggling to me. And then you got people who sit there and take care of 6 kids in hospitals and they're dying, you know, at 40, 50, 60 years old. And you got a piece of shit like that was allowed to walk the planet for another 40 years because he's the result of my mother having to do what she did to get killed. So he's there's not one redeeming quality. I can't tell you one thing I did with him alone. Now, get this. He was a Boy Scout leader before he got arrested for beating the crap out of me at 10. He was a Boy Scout leader. He would rather hang out with other kids' children than me. Never understood that.
So to me, it sounds like you do kind of blame your dad for your mom's death.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Would she have gotten absolutely. Would she have gotten a job at some point in her adult life? Yeah, but not that one. She took that job because of the benefits it would have given us because we had no benefits growing up. I can't even remember going to a doctor. But maybe that's just passive memory. You don't remember mundane things like that. I don't remember going to a doctor. Knock on wood, I was never sick. Neither were my sisters. It's just mind-boggling with the conditions and the way you grew up. Never sick other than a cold. Thank God. Because then, you know, and I'm sure programs when we were kids with the state that would have taken care of that. I don't know a lot about how that worked back then. But New York was pretty much very good to people like that.
I know that you have children, and tell me, how does how do I want to say this? You know, everything that you saw growing up, did it make you it made you a better father for your own child?
Oh, without a doubt, because I knew everything not to do. And I would never raise my hand to them. There's no reason for it. I listen, and it's wrong. I got a problem when the woman smacks her kid on the butt for being fresh in a supermarket. But I will sit there as a joke saying I would fling that kid against the wall. No, I wouldn't. There's a reason why that kid's acting out like that, and it goes right to the person pushing the shopping cart, not the kid.
That's right.
And just the way I grew up on my own and the things that I did. I mean, I've done and forgotten more shit than the two of them could ever do. And yeah, it did. It also made me not strict, extremely defensive. Listen, I told them, don't ever lie. If you robbed a gas station and they come to me and say you robbed it, I'm going to tell them you didn't do it, and I'm going to tell them to prove it to me. But you're not getting my kid. See, that's part of the system I knew how to play. So, but don't do something stupid. Listen, if you're gonna go down big. Don't go down fucking being a shithead slinging dope. Don't go down being anything other than what the streets are gonna call you to do. Because I did it and didn't have to do it as I got older. There was no reason for it. I was making a decent living, but I still had that, you know, Brooklyn, Queens, New York mentality that, you know, when the sun went down, zip back in and, you know, do things that you shouldn't be doing. But was never a drug dealer. So let me get that off the table.
Okay. You were never you were never a drug abuser or an alcohol abuser.
No. I still don't drink. I'm sorry.
Have you ever been in jail? Have you ever been incarcerated and been in jail?
I've never been convicted of a felony. Those are 3 different things you go through. Incarcerated means have you been locked up? Number 2, did you ever have a pair of handcuffs on? Yes. All 3 times, oddly enough, it wasn't for crimes I committed. It was for defending somebody. And there's a story I didn't tell you about that. I always got my precarious situations were just odd. I would get a sense of not to show up to do something that we would plan on doing. You know, our big thing was break into a building for what reason. Then it became, you know, other type of buildings, and then go home and get up and go manage an electronics store, which does $20 million worth of business annually as a mature, stable adult, and then become a shithead at night, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, but drinking, no. I'll have a sip of champagne at a wedding. That's about it. I couldn't justify being a drunk person after your mother gets killed by a drunk woman at 8 o'clock in the morning. Have I done traceable time? No. Have I sat in a holding cell? Yeah, first time when I was 14, when we broke into a trailer and the police were sitting on it because a tractor trailer used to park behind this trailer where they drop off the trailers, and the guy come in the morning with his rig and pick it up and go. So the wise guys in the neighborhood used to give us $20, which was listen. I was living the life I was living at 13 years old. I was like, $20 was $1,000 to you today. So we would go there with my friend Eugene and cut a hole in the side of the trailer to see what's inside of it, and then we go tell them, and we did that 5 or 6 times until they dropped a trailer there that was full of balled up paper. And we went to go check it out and forgot the flashlight. So I grabbed the lighter, and they came down on us because I was about to go crawl inside and light a lighter to see what was in there. The whole place in the building would have went up. So he takes off, and I feel somebody pulling on my leg. And oddly enough, this story is fucking quite hysterical. Pardon the language. Yeah, I don't care. It's YouTube. No, yes, I do. Sorry. I forgot we're not in the green room where everything goes. And it's just the guy. It was a cop. His name was Detective Carlson, Frank Carlson. So he's like, "Who told you to blah blah blah?" So they dragged me into the precinct, which was down about a mile down the road, and ended up being the one my mother ended up working for. Oddly enough. And I'm sitting there, and you're handcuffed to it. It was like the old-fashioned ways, like you see on Blue Buzz. Those benches did exist. They were bolted to the floor, and then you'd have your handcuff on the railing. And I'm sitting there going, listen, why don't we just? I was a smart ass. Hard to believe, right? I go, how much longer are you going to punish me? I feel like I'm being punished. Go stand in the corner. So how long are you going to punish me in order to before you let me leave? With that, well, who were you with there? I'm not telling you. With that, my friend who was with me comes walking into the precinct going, "Hey, guys, I give up." Walks over to me and hands me a bag of White Castle hamburgers. And I was like, "Dude, what are you doing?" He goes, I figured they're going to pull this bullshit and keep us sitting here and let us go. So I figured I'd just turn myself in so they let you go. The desk sergeant was standing and looking at us like, "You two kids fucking." I remember him saying, "You two are going to be dead by the time you're 20." I was like, "So," my attitude then was, "So what?"
Oh.
He goes, "You just gave yourself up." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "What's the big deal? What are you gonna do? We're 14."
Right.
It was hilarious. It really was.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you the question that I want to know, Kevin.
Oh no.
Were you in the mafia? He's
No.
pleading the fifth. Did he just? No.
I was a knockaround guy. No, there are certain things I wouldn't do.
What? So what is a knockaround guy?
When you're younger, you do errands. You run the numbers. You pick up the Marlboro box outside the candy store and you run it down to the fence company. You break into the trailer. They tell you to go take this guy's car, so we would acquire a car here and there. And when you get pulled up, they just tell you they just chase you because they're not going to do nothing with you as a teenager.
Okay, I don't want to
nothing at all.
All I wanted to know was a yes or no. You didn't have to embellish because I don't want to have.
No one's going to tell you yes ever.
Security. I don't want nobody coming after me because I know stuff. I don't want to know nothing anymore. Just yes or no. That's it.
I'm French, Canadian, and Irish, so that should answer your question right there. Did I know people? Absolutely. Geez, I could tell you stories for 12 hours. If that's the route you want to take one day, I could tell you quite a bit. Mm-hmm. There's quite a bit that everybody here knows about that I have firsthand knowledge of. So if you ever want to go down that path and do, you're buffering. Really? They already infiltrated me? You're buffering.
I'm buffering?
Hello?
I'm buffering?
Did I lose her? No, I think because she's mentioned that word, they're onto me. I'm kidding, Susanna. You're good now. Are you there?
I'm here. Stop it.
All right. Good.
So let me ask you, do you think you're a funny guy? A funny man?
What do you mean funny?
Do you think you're a funny person? Do you think?
Shit, I can't believe you fell for that. No, seriously. Everybody, quiet down in the chat. What do you mean funny? Like, like I'm a clown?
Yeah, like that you're a clown.
Hook, line, and sinker. You don't realize what you're doing. Oh, it's hilarious. Do I think? Oh, this is too funny. Watch the movie Goodfellas, and then you're gonna laugh your ass off for what just happened with you.
Hmm.
You just you were just Ray Liotta. Oh, that's hilarious. By the way, I just need to let you know that this interview is being taped
That's all right. So let me ask you,
by by somebody somewhere, not me.
what are your thoughts on people? Like when you see people, what attracts you to them besides, trying to help them? What is your physical, no, what is your physical attraction to another human being?
That they're kind. That's number one. Period. That they're loyal. That's number two. Period. Exactly the way they would want to be treated. So, because if they would treat them bad and you treat them bad back, uh, then they'll understand why it's being done. Unfortunately, people disconnect on number three. They think it's okay to run around and do stuff and not be held accountable. I hold people accountable, whether it's turning my back on them, which I've done, or whether it's making their life miserable, which I've done. Listen, all of this is before 40. I've been a good guy since 35. I wasn't a bad guy, but I would love nothing better than to see someone who was abusing somebody and just fucking light them up. That was, fun. Bullies, don't even get me started because that's a whole topic that's been so
So,
watered down and used to describe disagreements.
so you're saying at the age of 35, what changed your perception at 35?
Well, Craig was born,
Hmm.
my son, and I just got tired of being stupid, you know, and things got a little bit more precarious, let's say. You know, there was things I did then. There were things in my 20. I mean, to get shot out and stabbed in the leg. If that didn't straighten me out, just saying, you know what, no one gets to walk away from being a jerk. I'm going to do it. And I never did listen, I never did a fucking home invasion. So if you people are thinking that, just get that out of your brain. It's all the different things,
So let me ask you about your children. When your son was born, let me take you back. What is the one memory of your child um, that you have? It's one of your fondest memories of your child.
There's a lot of them, but the one that sticks out isn't that old. He was a sophomore in high school, having a rough time. He moved down to South Carolina here with his mom when he was 15. She met a farmer and was going to live the Harlequin novel life, which exploded in her face, which we knew was going to happen. But at the worst possible time, she took a young teenage boy away from his dad, who was ingrained in the society that I was in of having and having all this other jazz. Um, at the worst possible time to somebody who was completely disinterested and didn't raise his children properly. And but what my son did know, anytime there's a problem, he called me. I took care of it. If this
Right,
dude
but what is the
was
one
acting right,
memory?
I'm getting
What is
there.
that? Okay.
I'm getting there because there's a lot of things being young. Oh, going to the park, being proud of how well he was good at football, getting into a fight with his coach. I mean, listen, we can go on. But the one thing that means the most to me is he was failing in school, and I get a call from his mother. I don't know what to do. Craig was very smart, and he was so smart that he was stupid. And what I mean by that is he didn't have to do his homework, didn't have to do this, didn't have to do that. He went to a collegiate academy in South Carolina, and they threw him out. Well, that wasn't going to happen. So I did a little digging, and I called up the school. Oh no, they had him call me. And which parent do you want me to call? They said to him to come get you. You're done. We gave you a contract to sign, which they did when you were failing. And he goes, we don't understand. You get 90s and 100s on all your tests, but you're not doing the secondary work, which was more important. 60% of their grade was homework, projects, extracurriculars. Now, here's an idiot who was failing math and he was president of the math club. I kid you not. He's the president of the math club and he's failing math. That's what I mean. He's very smart but stupid. So he told this teacher, I live with my mom here, but call my dad. I get caught off guard. And you're like, Dad? Dr. Newsom wants to speak to you. They're asking me to leave the school. I go, what'd you do? Silence. I go, what'd you do? Silence. Okay. Tell him I'm only going to speak to him with you in the room. So Dr. Newsom takes the phone and goes, listen, I'm speaking to you in front of my son. Put me on speakerphone. Well, we don't have to do that. There's really nothing you can do. Oh, there's a lot I can do. And then I go, Craig, you there? He's like, yeah. Dr. Newsom, you there? I'll go, Craig, you're not to disrespect that school one more time. When you go to that school, that man represents me as your dad. Those teachers represent us as your parents. I go, for 45 minutes each time you got a period. Number two, Dr. Newsom, you're not throwing my son out of school. Number one, I'll do a deep dive on you and bury you because I already know why you left the other high school. Number two, let me ask you a question. Are you a father? He goes, yeah. I go, how is you expelling my son going to benefit that school? You're supposed to avoid this. So there's one or two ways to go. He's going back to his classroom and he's going to make you a promise in front of me. Or this is going to be a bigger problem because you know what? Not for nothing, sir. And I played the dumb card. You don't know who or what you're dealing with. You guys laugh at Yankees. We're the first ones to knock your building down. I said, so, and my son is sitting there. You know what he says, Craig, in the background? I told you if you called my dad, you're going to unleash the beast. So he knew no matter what he did, like I told him, don't lie and come to me and we'll take care of it. Now, he was dead wrong for what he did, for not respecting the school. The only thing I ever asked those kids to do ever, do good in school. I don't care what else you do. I'll defend you to the death. I will not defend you with education. I won't. That's all I wanted from them. But he was so smart that, he thought he can get around it and fly by. So they sent him back to the class. And once a week, Dr. Newsom was told to call me and give me an update. And then for the whole next year and a half, I got a call once a week until there were times Craig stepped out of line and I had to straighten him out. But he understood when I said to him, I go, you're hurting a child you're supposed to be nurturing. What benefit does that make your school? And besides, I did do a deep dive on him, and he was asked to leave his last school because he had an affair with a teacher.
So basically, that fondest memory was because your son wanted you called.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
but now I'm dealing with a 19-year-old shithead, which a lot of us understand. He thinks he knows everything and this and that, and he wants to try to battle me. So he's at the point right now where he's trying to size up where he fits in life, and he's fell into that world of Xbox. But oddly enough, right now I gave him a year not to go to college, and the jerk decides to get a job where they made him a manager at his job at 19 years old, 3 months after he was there, because the little con artist, and he's just like me. I might as well just say it. He's just like me. He figured out how everything ran, figured out how to get over on the people. He's the manager at 19 of the entire Bojangles, making $800 a week. Down here, that's $1 million. He's 19. But then he leaves that job that he's responsible with, that he works all hours of the day, and locks himself away into that world of 3 monitors and gaming monitors and a whole gaming world, which I don't understand. And I know it's rampant in this country. I just don't get it. I don't understand why adults need to play video games. I don't get it. But if that helps people, it's therapeutic, then I understand it.
So it sounds like your children are a huge part of your life.
Yeah, but right now, me and him we're not talking to each other, to be honest with you right now, because I'm going to let him push, and he's going to get one push back. I'm never going to raise my hands to him. Never. Listen, he's got anger. Listen, he lost his dad, I understand, at 15. He didn't lose me. I was always a phone call away, but do you understand that, like, if he moved with his mom, don't you think that he wondered why I didn't come get him? Because he was always a daddy's boy. He was never a mama's boy. Still is not. So I know that there are things that he had to process, and who am I to judge him? He's as angry as I was. So I'm going to let him work his way through it. Now, listen, he doesn't know that.
So Kevin, what is your passion? What is your passion in life?
Children. A big part of a lot of organizations for, unfortunately, the epidemic of missing, exploited, abused, abandoned children. I spend a certain amount of hours a week sitting there. People say, why are you bothered? You're never going to figure this out. Now, matching up with information from, let's say, NCMC or a Charlie Project and whatnot, and match that up with the bodies that are found with the Doe Network, or try to trace things. And there's a lot of people that end up solving a lot of things for a lot of people because of that. This is not something that's new in this world. It's people think that human trafficking is some kind of brand new fucking craze for the past decade. It's been going on for 50 years. Just like abuse in schools. They think it just happened in the 80s and 90s. No, it's been going on for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
There are just some completely messed up people in this world that are way too close to children. And they're, not every child that goes missing was a bad thing. You got to look and see what are they running from.
Yeah.
And my anything under a certain age to me is, listen, it's, I don't know, I'm just going to get mad. So I'll just leave it at that. It's the betterment of people taking care of children, paying attention to what goes on around you, get involved.
Yeah.
That's all I want people to do. Get involved. Read the poster. Take an hour out of your month and just look in your area of, wow, there's 17 sexual predators in my neighborhood that are level 3. Jeez.
So, Kevin, what makes you happy? What makes Kevin happy?
What makes me happy? I don't think much of anything makes me happy. I think I just get content. Just having a good day makes me happy. Like, I don't sit there and go, like it's, the purity of the sanctity of happiness. The fact that the boys put their head to bed at night and they made it through another day. I don't really care whether I do or not. That the people that I do care about make it through a day. That people inherently stop judging people for reasons. If you don't run into judgmental people. I'm at the point in life where, as much as I want to be level-headed into helping people out or letting them talk, because that's the best thing you do for anybody is let them talk. Not everything is solved with a $10 bill. What's solved is if somebody understands that somebody gets them. And I guess that would make me content, just making it through a day and not having somebody else's bullshit interrupt your life. That's basically it. I don't ask for much at all. And a damn good chicken cutlet. That makes me happy.
Oh, off the record, I made a really good chicken cutlet.
That makes me happy.
That's all I'm going to say about me. What is the biggest misconception that someone has about you?
Wow. That I'm a prick. But if I observed me from the outside, which I can do, and be honest to myself, I would see myself as somebody that you want to be in a foxhole with, but you don't want to cross. But someone that, if you needed something sensitive or meaningful to be helped with, that I'm still that same person, that I'm loyal to almost death. I'm loyal. And I got pretty close at one time in my life. So
that is the biggest misconception, that people think that you're.
Oh yeah, you know what? I go onto this YouTube thing, and I'm not who I am there. Listen, you go into a chat room, and if it's dull, this and that, you act like a goof off, and this, that, and the other thing, or you go blah 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 blah. You kind of act out like that you're not. But there are people that I speak to outside of YouTube that I inherently do give a shit about, and there used to be few more than there are now, and they disappoint you. You get somebody who doesn't like the fact that you're, I don't know, it's just, and that's in regular life too. Listen, Phyllis doesn't like Mary because Mary went shopping with Anne Marie. That kind of shit burns my ass. Who cares what they did? You like Phyllis, be friends with Phyllis. And who cares what Phyllis did? Because I'm sure there's shit about you that Phyllis don't like about you.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that Tina eats blocks of cheddar cheese, man. I didn't say nothing to her. I still can't get over that.
So
How she thought that was going to take the pepper out of her mouth was beyond belief. But go ahead.
So finish this sentence. My friends would describe me as
The sexy. No, just kidding.
well, we wouldn't know about that because we do. Well, actually, we do see a sexy avatar, but
I could kill that avatar. My friends see me as loyal, honest. I'll defend. I'm game to go do anything. I mean, today, if somebody calls up and says, blah, 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 we got to go confront this person, I'll say, you stay in the car. I'll knock on the door because there's a part of me that'll go to death with me that don't give a fuck. Oh, don't give an F. Sorry. That if somebody does something bad enough, I don't care what I do to them. And it's not like listen, I ain't the biggest, strongest, toughest guy in the world, but I still have that little chip of, why did you do this? It'll give you one chance to tell me why, especially if it's abusing a child or an abusing a woman. I mean, listen, all men are sit there going, yeah, I respect women, this and that. And well, no, you don't, because number one, if the first time you raise your hand, you lost all credibility for the rest of your life. Not just in that incident, for the rest of your life. You shouldn't even be inherently to do that. So I'm just going to say generous, loyal, and honest. But now, hold on, I got to be fair. Now, what are the things that they would say about me, if they're going to be honest, that aren't, glowingly nice?
yeah, I asked you that. I asked you
judgmental
as a whole.
to a fault. Yeah, I'm judgmental to a fault. I really am. I don't give people second chances, and I'm stubborn as all can be. So those aren't great qualities. It's good to be stubborn with some things, but it's not good to be stubborn if you're not going to give in. So if you're going to say, oh, my friends think I'm all these wonderful things, yeah, that's great. Those are the ones who like you. But they're also, you got to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. We all have flaws. We're all damaged. I mean, beyond belief. I mean, and I don't, listen, it takes a lot for me to admit I'm wrong. And I'll just say that, and I hate that about myself. But I'm sorry, that's the whole package. Every slice of the cake isn't a delicious slice. There's always one crappy one that nobody eats and is left on the table. Those are the bad things about people. So
let me ask you about achieving something in your life. Was there something that you set out to achieve, but you have not yet achieved it?
I had this thing. Life always got in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, well, things that people don't know about me. I'm a trained thespian for 4 years. I was trained by William Hickey and Michael Beckett at HB Studios in New York, which is Herbert Berghoff and Uta Hagen's, acting school, which I did, which not very many people know about, and was on that path of trying to work a full-time job, trying to be a part of the boy's life, and trying to sleep at night, and couldn't put it all together, so I quit the thing that was centered towards me. I still had to work for a living. I started to make sure that everybody I was responsible was taken care of. So that is something that I really honestly know could have been an avenue. And you don't have to be rich and famous. It was just an industry you want to be in at any, even if you got a job because you couldn't act worth the shit as the union fucking driver for somebody, you're making $1.25 a year. So just to be a part of that, and I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to put no efforts in. I was told I was good at this, and I got glowing reviews. I did that, done that. That's enough. Let me move on to the next thing. I don't go into things, unfortunately, half-assed. I'll dive in completely. Mm-hmm. I'll go into the deep end of the pool. For someone who don't know how to swim, that's kind of dumb, but you know what I mean? I'll dive into something 1,000%. Mm-hmm. And get bored quickly and move on. So yeah, I wanted to be an athlete, and I wanted to be in the theater. I didn't have to be on TV. I didn't have to make movies. I guess it's because I grew up having to play make-believe in my real life. I kind of got used to it and I got pretty good at it, to be honest with you. That's why, I tend to listen. There's about 10 people in this chat, that 10 people will give you 10 different definitions of me.
Absolutely.
So basically, I used to have to drive a school bus to school to bring all my personalities with me.
So let me ask you one thing, okay? If
You're
I
right.
if I gave, not one thing because I've been asking you a lot of things, but if I gave you a wand, a magic wand, and you could only use it once in
Hmm.
your lifetime, what would you use that wand for?
Return every missing child to their parents. That's an easy question. I don't need nothing. I'll live underneath the sewer cap. In order to do that, please, who wouldn't? Return every child that's missing. Unfortunately, you can't return the ones that aren't with us anymore, but return them all. If it's because a 13-year-old ran away because their parent didn't understand them or they didn't understand their parents, I get it. Fix it. Just send them all home and let everybody help them working on it. I would love to say help the homeless, but I can't. I gotta go to children.
Children.
Just send them home. All of them. Every
Wow.
one of them.
That speaks
Only one
volumes.
out.
That speaks volumes about you. You are not selfish at all. Not at
No,
all.
sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes you kind of want to be, but it's not fun. It's much more fun to watch somebody light up because you did something that you did without in order for them to have.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who don't appreciate that suck.
Yes, does does. So I'm going to ask you, because we're coming to a close. We're at an
Really?
hour. Yeah, we're at an hour's mark. And this went by really, really quick. Really, really
You don't
quick.
want me anymore?
I do. I want you forever. You're going to be in my heart and my life forever. Of course, I want you.
I only get an hour.
Well, do you want to go longer?
Oh, whatever. If anybody could, if one person out of the 35 that are in here can, I don't know, pick something up for me, it was worth it.
And that's why I like having these. I want this to, these interviews to reach someone or to help someone or someone to know you a little bit more and not just have that first, that misconception that they have about you that there's
Yo,
so
you're
much
blowing up
more.
my spot, woman.
Huh?
I said you're blowing up my spot. Countess April, yes, it's the 5-year-old. I'm sorry, just answering a question about the missing child in Idaho.
Yeah.
There's a handful of them in Idaho, but not as many as other places. But yeah, that's
We're gonna take this to the chat as soon as I'm done. I'm
uh,
sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, but we're gonna take it to the chat. After I
okay.
after I do this last question, if anyone has any questions, they can put it in the chat and I'll ask Kevin
No, go
those
ahead. You
questions.
can ask
Okay.
whatever you want.
I want to know, how do you want to be remembered?
Encapsulate quite a bit. Um, Pretty probably as somebody that anybody knew they can count on. I don't know if the word loyal comes into that because everybody should be loyal until they're given a reason not. As basically as a protector, I would imagine. I would like to remember somebody that would have somebody's back no matter what. And like
So
I
when
said, when it
you,
comes to my kids, whether they're right or wrong,
so when we say Kevin,
yeah,
you want us to think of as a protector.
yeah, pretty much. I think that would be it.
That's awesome. That
And
really is,
as a raspberry,
as a protector. I
yeah.
love it.
Hmm.
Love it. Love it. Well, that concludes my interview with you. I hope you guys got to know a little bit more about Kevin because I sure as did. I appreciate you, Kevin.
Oh, thank
I
you.
want to say out here in public as well, I thank you for the day that I met you, that you basically gave me a kick. And yeah, you did. You gave me a kick. It was awesome. It was like when I first came on and you were like, you can do this. And
I kind of beat you up a little bit.
you did. But the thing is that you were straight with me. You weren't giving me, you weren't like, I don't want to say the word, but like kind of pussying around or anything. You were Kevin. And I think that's what attracts me to you so much. It's that you're Kevin, you're real. And um, I just want to say thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for your time. And everybody else who could have had probably better stuff to do than listen to me ramble on.
No, I thank everyone for being here. Guys, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Kevin,
Yeah,
do
keep
it
it
now.
clean.
Do it now. See?
I think you pretty much dug everything. I don't think there's anything left. You talking with your
See?
hands?
What is it?
There's no pussyfooting around it through. Yeah.
Kevin does not sugarcoat it. Absolutely not. It was no pussyfooting around and through you right into the tornado. Yes.
Perfecting pearls,
Perfecting
no. Nope.
He is not married. Have you ever been married?
No, never.
You've never been married.
Just a breeder.
How many loves have you had in your life?
Wow, that's loaded. That's loaded.
Mm-hmm.
You learn a lot when you at different points in your life. When you're 25, you're never going to find her again. When you're 35, you're never going to find him again. And then you look back going, ew, what was I thinking? Ew, what was I doing? Well, maybe not ew. It's like, oh, you build to get to a point where you basically have this person that if you're lucky enough to find them when you're 20, 25 years old, God bless you. But I don't really think that's realistic and that you do. I think I think people are content with being content, and that's fine too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically, oh, kind of wouldn't be a hopeless romantic, I guess. That
I think
I
you are.
I would have to say, you know, recently a lot of things have shown me that other things weren't as great as they were.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say two.
Two.
And a lot of wasted time in between. A lot. And a lot of that falls upon you, myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't want to be the person to hurt the person, so you just kind of wear it down till it just fades away. I guess that's the right way to put it for me. Just let it fade away.
But it does sound like you're a man that has been hurt.
Oh, devastated.
Mm-hmm.
Completely devastated. I mean, there was a loss, and there was, yeah, devastated. So, and betrayed. I think it's the worst quality of a person. Betrayal. It's the worst.
Yeah.
The worst betrayal. It's just terrible. It's so damaging.
It's very, very damaging, and to rise your head up above that is, it takes a long time.
It does, and you don't want, and then the unfortunate thing is, everyone you come across, you start mirroring to that person who did it, and it's not fair.
No.
Willow, the answer is yes. I'll do a life hangout sometime soon.
Awesome.
I've just been involved in a lot of things that needed my attention. What do you spend most of your time?
How do you spend most of your time? Because
that is a good question. Trying to think of other ways not to go back into the business I was in, getting different stream income. Just trying to get better from my health from 2 years ago when I could run through a brick wall and then I couldn't no more.
Oh my goodness, I forgot to ask you that. Yes, there was a a life-turning pivot,
Yeah,
like
well,
a couple of years ago with you.
like I
And
said,
can you talk about that a little?
yeah, in the middle of January of 2019, I was perfectly fine, and the next day I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, had you know, they kind of blanket a lot of things under those words, heart attack, but it was congestive heart failure, which would have ended me that night if I didn't get to where I had to get to. I
Mm-hmm.
had a heart rate of 240, and it was blowing out of my chest out of nowhere,
Oh.
and then had another one a month later, and have been medicated since, which is completely the medication completely has ruined. Um, it's worn me out quite often, and it's at the frustrating point now. I hope you don't get kicked off for this, but I got it at the worst possible time because come to the end of that year, all my doctors disappeared because there was a pandemic, and I understood that there are people that what was we all know what was going on. So
Mm-hmm.
I was okay, but I was basically living the life of somebody who um, was just being maintained to stay at a certain exact point. In other words, I wasn't getting better. I wasn't getting worse until this April. I wasn't getting any better. I was in a basically they had me on a medical a pill popping maintenance program. Gosh darn it! And
Mm-hmm.
8 doctors in Stony Brook University in Long Island, New York. If you're ever dying, just drive past it and die because eight cardiologists missed what was wrong with me. Eight, not one, not three, and I'm exaggerating, not five, eight of them. Till I went down here to South Carolina and wanted a 50-year-old or plus cardiologist who knew about stuff that wasn't learned from a book and wasn't 30 years. 'Cause, listen, I think the older the person is and the fucking more blunt the doctor is, that's the doctor I want. I want the doctor version of me. And he figured out in one day it was my thyroid triggering my atrial fibrillation because I know people who have had it and I know people who have survived. I know people who are hiking mountains with it. I couldn't walk 15 feet for a year. I couldn't. And there's
Yeah.
no mystery behind that. Then I run into, I'm sure oh my God. See, this is a side effect of all the medication I'm on. Yeah, things that I would just snap right out of my head and think of somebody's name,
Mm-hmm.
and this is, oh God Almighty. Anyway, I'm sure you guys, and she hasn't been around a while. I'm sure you guys remember Leela and her sister. Oh my God, KJ.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that one night I was started talking to her husband about that topic, and he innocently asked me what medication I was on, and I told him, and he listened for legal terms, didn't tell me to do anything. Okay. I took it upon myself and I says, what do you think about this medication? And when I told him I was on it for 18 months, he was horrified. This
Wow.
one thing. So I go do a deep dive in it and go, yeah, you're not supposed to take it more than 6 months. I stopped it and felt better instantly because, I don't want my gallbladder and liver exploding. You're not solving anything with one of them. And I
No.
was on the wrong dosage when I found out when I went to the cardiologist down here. I was taking
Wow.
too much of it. I never should have been on it that long. I should have been a lot lower. And he's the one who told me, he says, they had you, you know what they did? He basically said to me, when you were in the hospital, I was in the hospital in 2019, once a month for 4 or 5 days for the entire year to the point where I couldn't do my HVAC job anymore. And, I fell into the YouTube world, that and the volcano, the two places you don't want to fall into. I'm just kidding. Um, and that's how I lived. I
Yeah.
lived this getting sucked into the abyss. I
It's
couldn't have nobody near me because of the pandemic and was told by the doctors, don't get your stuff delivered. If you're going to have laundry done, let somebody come get it for you. And I feel bad that all the people didn't have that advantage. I lived on my own and, you pay to the point where you can't even pay anymore. That
right.
I didn't see another human being in front of me for 12 months. 12 months. And I was perfectly content because all I did was stay in bed, just basically dying.
Right.
wanting, it didn't care, didn't matter, just basically existing. But I always said, you know what, these other people need this help more than I do. I mean, like when you get CVS calling you up going, we faxed your doctor 7 times, he's not responding, I'm not fulfilling your prescription. What do?
Right, right.
You sit there and you try to make sense of it. If you get angry, it's the worst thing I could have done.
Now, let me ask you, did the doctors ever say that you needed surgery?
Yeah, you know what they wanted to do? There's nothing. Listen, I was told by all of them, and the one down here, my heart is 100% fine. I don't need any stents. I have no blockages. I have. There's just there's some reason why he narrowed it down to you're not getting enough oxygen to your lungs from your heart. And I go, how does that happen overnight? And he goes, you wouldn't even see it. That you could have just thought you were getting older. It could have been something progressive. You weren't going to a doctor. I said, but I felt fine. I lived a full life. Every aspect of my life was full. And he goes, you're lucky because people who have that don't get what I get that day and make it through that day. Because when my heart went haywire, it was out of the blue. And it continued to do it. And once I got this thyroid medication in April,
yeah,
I don't want to say it, but I'll say it, knock on wood. I haven't had one AFib episode. But what they wanted to do was burn 4 holes in my heart to see if that'll work. What do you mean to see if that'll work? They wanted to do an ablation. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Oh, well, it's 50% accurate. I go, you telling me, let me take your perfect heart that has no fat on it, nothing in your veins, none of this, and you want to burn 4 holes in it? I was less than cordial. They thought that there was a riot in that room that day. I was like, really? Is this what you do to people? They did exploratory through my wrist and the groin of catheterization. What do you call that? Whatever it is, cardiac catheterization. Yep. Because they wanted to move my heart over, see if there was something behind it that they couldn't see that was causing it. Mm-hmm. Which then I find out was extremely pointless and unnecessary. So,
right.
Now, the medication has caused me severe anxiety, which I never had in my life. I had no fear. Just by talking to you today, I had no fear. I'm afraid to drive now.
The pills that you're on, I'm not saying you, anyone, it helps you with one thing, but it damages so many other things.
I can't even watch those commercials on TV. Hey, take this and you're blah, 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 you'll be fine. And then the side effects is suicide. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Here, take this pill. I no wonder why you're not having anxiety no more. You're dead. Like, really? I refused. And now I'm on 9 medications. They asked me, goes, well, you seem to be in a depressive state and you have anxiety. And I started having panic attacks. Every time, like, I felt I couldn't breathe, my body took over for that year. And I never knew the psychological aspect of that you kind of make yourself not breathe. You kind of drag it out. I learned how to stop on a dime. Mm-hmm. Stand still, think about something other than what's going on, and just through the nose, out the mouth to end it. And those have gone away.
You do it like this, Kevin. I'm going to teach you a new way to do it. You take a deep breath in, ready? Mm-hmm. And you blow it out. And then you do it again. And then you blow it out. And on the third one, and I want everyone to do this, take a deep breath. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Now blow it out your ass. Did it work?
I didn't even see that coming. It would have been funny if you said that and you got up and walked away and ended it. That would have been great. Everyone would be like, what the hell happened? What did he do to her? Let me go rewatch that. You'll have 90,000 freaking views.
No.
What did you miss?
I want to say something to you right now. Kevin.
Who does that?
Kevin.
Ma'am.
When are you showing When are you showing me your face? When are you going to show us your face? And I'm asking you now, publicly, can you show me who you are? I want to see. You've shown me who you are. I want to physically see you. Halloween. No, because you're going to come in with a mask.
You have 36 witnesses.
So on Halloween, I am going to make a special, the uncovering of Kevin.
I'll do. Well, now you want to make a production out of it? Yo, I
Yeah.
ain't paying your bills with my sexiness. Fuck that. Jeez, woman. No.
You
I
guys,
hope you don't get
you
demonetized.
never
Do you get
know.
demonetized for curse words?
Guys, you never know until you ask. So I ask. I'm not going to sit here and not ask. I'm going to ask him. This is, I want to see Kevin.
Do you know what the thing is? I think I've narrowed it down to the fact that, like, if you look at some of these comments, there are people that go, "Yes, I've seen. Yes, I have." Why I don't do it? I think it's the only type of control you can have over this fucking volcano called YouTube
Uh-huh.
is yourself.
And you keep having us come back for more.
Oh, I got a whole closet full of mugs, Susie Woozy
It
Booby.
doesn't matter. I knew exactly from yesterday that Kevin was not going to show himself on camera, and I did not want this to be about just Kevin showing his face. It was about getting to know Kevin.
That's exactly why I told you I changed my mind. I says, you know what? I don't understand what the big. I really don't believe. I really don't understand what the big deal is. I don't, but I understand it to the point because, like I said, when you observe and you watch people, I have this thing where I need to know. But to me, it's what they tick. To everybody else, it's why people even care. Is kind of I can't quite put my finger on about me or why people will mention you
Mm-hmm.
when you're not even been around for a while, and then you find out that. I think it's flattering if you get the right message of, oh, they just wanted a worry and this and the other thing, and then, you know,
I didn't when
I
I
don't look like Andrew Dice Clay. He's a good-looking guy, though.
when I first thought about that I wanted to interview you,
Mhm.
it was because I wanted to know more about Kevin, and I wanted to see what I felt and what I thought matched up, and it did, absolutely did. So your face, you showing
You
me
have
your
no idea.
face or not showing me your face, has not wavered me from how I feel or don't feel or whatever. I still adore you the same way.
That's flattering and nice. Oh man, can't you find 3 more people to get to 40? I'd be impressed. I thought there'd be 15 people here.
We've already hit 40. We went over 40 and came back
Oh,
down. It's been going back and forth.
because I know other people that you've interviewed are probably a lot more popular. And it's not about popularity. I'm glad that I recognize every single person in here, but maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look like Abraham Lincoln.
I appreciate every single one of you that have come in this morning. I really honestly do. I
Yeah, as do I.
big time appreciate it. I would appreciate it if it was one person. So it's not about the amount of people that is here. It's about who
Well, I
they
got to be honest with you. The Leo in me would be a little bit upset if it was one person because I do need attention. Obviously, I get told that all the time.
No,
I'd be like, one person. To hell with that.
I'd be happy with just
No,
one.
actually, I
One
would.
person.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I still would do it because I have to keep my word, and I gave you my word that I would do this. So
Yes, you did. You did. Alrighty,
I
having
don't
said
think
that,
I never
guys,
keep my word with not one person in here. Actually,
I think let me give you some accolades here. Okay, let's see. He does sound like Andrew Dice Clay.
well, Andrew sounds like me because I'm 2 years older than him.
We want to know if you look like Abraham Lincoln. Hey, sweet Robin. Let's see, because we all love it. Oh, I love you guys. I love you, Kathy. Mwah. She's an angel. Perfecting pros. I'm just going down the list. Kevin is an amazing person. Shamrock, Pixie, and Tommy. We adore you, Kevin.
I like that couple. They're nice people.
I don't want to
Everyone's
say
nice.
Kevin. I love the voice behind the avatar, the mystery of Kevin, the voice of wisdom behind the avatar. Perfectly said, Carol Ann. Perfectly
That's very
said.
nice of you.
Leos are needy. I dated one.
Yeah, I have to admit it. That is true. I never wanted to. That's a great comment.
Oh my God.
You know what? And if you
Please.
combine the two, I could be their child. Actually,
Wow. That,
Who's that person?
huh?
I don't know that person. Tyrannical Mystery Covers.
Oh my God, you need to subscribe to Tyrannical. He has an amazing singing voice, Kevin. Oh
Oh,
my
I
God.
do know who he is. Yes, I do know who he is. I've
He's
watched his videos. Believe it or not, Tyrannical. He's just there with
oh
the guitar.
awesome.
He should be on The Voice. That dude.
I'm
Along with
surprised that
Trent.
he has not,
Trent's got a great voice too.
I'm surprised that Ty has not gotten signed yet. That I'm definitely surprised at. Um, Guy, Kathy, I'm not bought needed. No, I'm just going down because we're going to be closing up shop here. It's 11:30. Kathy
That's it. That's all I
Groupie.
get. The Leo and me's coming out. You better scram.
Who?
I said the Leo and me is coming out. You better scram. That's
The
all I
Leo.
get.
What's Leo? What?
The
When's your
zodiac
birthday?
sign, Leo, August
Uh, August what?
20th.
August 20th. My son is a Virgo. He's the 24th of
Yeah,
August.
he's right on the. I'm on one side of the cusp. He's on the other.
He's on the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Bobby.
Picture Kevin as the brother everybody loves.
Oh God, no. Listen, I'll. No. 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 No.
No, no.
No.
I don't see that.
First there's N, then there's O. No.
Aw, thank you, Susie. That's so
And I
sweet.
think her eyeglass frames tie it all together, Susie. Right?
Kathy, I know I just happened to be upset as well. Happy belated birthday, Kevin.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Renee.
Hi,
Who
Enville.
else?
Enville's from Canada. I don't know
The
why I said to tell everybody that.
Wendy. Awesome voice.
You were two country?
Voice.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what he had said, that he was too country. I'm like, how can
They're
one
trying
be
to
too
pigeonhole the
country?
genre for the voice. Yeah, I know why. I get it. I get the whole thing. It's not that he's too country. He's two other things too. And don't get me started.
No, like, how can one be too country? If you have a country
Because
voice,
13-year-olds don't like it, and that's all that watches that crap now anyway.
but you have, what's that guy that was always dressed in black? No, he's country. That's country to me, like, now country.
Oh,
So,
Johnny Cash?
yeah.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
No. That's country. Kevin, Ty's not, no, it does not sound like that at all.
Yes, Susie. Isn't that a nice ensemble with the hair, the glass frames, the purple around the neck, kind of ties it all together?
You guys are crazy. Hey, I could be here all day reading this
Her
chat.
background could use a little greenery, though. You need to get a plant in that room.
No, because when I'm painting, I need plain colors so I can vision colors, because then I'll get crazy with all these different colors in my
Save a
head.
plant. Save a
No.
plant.
Plant is in my other room. It's in my living room, my big bay window, bay bow window. So all my plants are there. So, guys, I am going to say see you later. It was amazing. Kevin, thank you so much. I hope
You're welcome.
someone learned something new about you today. I know that you've definitely have taught me many things today. So on that note,
Look at that compliment.
which compliment is that?
At 11:35 a.m. She wants me to narrate her every thought.
You went to what? Who are we talking about?
Just me, Kathy wants me to narrate.
I could listen to Kevin narrate every thought.
But I'm sure all you people have more important things to do.
I can listen. I could actually probably listen to him read 50 Shades of Grey. That's a fact.
Oh, wow.
That's a fact. Guys.
Oh, yeah, you guys got to get ready for auctions and whatnot. I'm sorry to take up your time.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. I just want to say again, everyone, thank you so much. Love you guys. I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you guys in the chats. At 12 o'clock, you're going to have Flippin' Flamingos. Make sure you've gone over there. Bye, everyone. Kevin, thank you, and I love you. Mwah. You're a beautiful soul.
You're welcome. She's